Ashe is a highly picked fragging operator, and her two weapons have a great fragging potential. But which one should you actually pick? Most of this is for your skill level and also your personal preference. So I'm going to show you guys some stats and what I personally prefer and why and what I recommend based on your skill level. I'm going to start out with a walkthrough of each weapon, and then I'll combine the stats and I'll show you a comparison between both of the weapons. Let's start with the R4C. R4C is generally more picked than the G36. This is due to the R4C's high fire rate, and R4C's fire rate is very crucial because of that 860 RPM is very good for a player like Ashe, because her main role is just entry frag, and if you need to frag out, a high fire rate weapon is very great. Considering the recoil isn't that bad with the right attachments, it's a very good weapon. That's the main reason the R4C is picked over the G36. We don't have a actual stat, or I wasn't able to find one while I was doing research for this video, but other than that, the pick rate for the G36 was approximated to be 2. 98% pick rate for the R4C. The magazine for the R4C is 5 bullets smaller, but also the capacity of just the total bullets is also smaller based off of the magazine. And also, if we look at the reload speed, it is 0.1 slower, which doesn't mean crap, honestly. If we look at the G36, it has a 0.1 slower reload, I already mentioned that. It has a 100 slower fire rate. But the main thing is the recoil. The recoil is a big thing when it comes to weapons. And I know some players really do not handle recoil very well based on my teammates, and from what I've seen, apparently people can't control recoil too well. Well, my teammates at least, but that doesn't say very much because my teammates are pretty bad. Not all of them, most of them. This is done with a flash hider, and honestly, on controller, I'd recommend running a commentator if you are new to the game and you want to use this gun, but it's really not that hard to control because of the slower fire rate. Obviously, I've already talked about the pick rate, with the G36 having about approximately 2%, which makes the R4C have a general pick rate of 98%, which is a pretty big difference if you ask me, and a big sign of what other players are picking. I tried looking for information about what pros use, and I honestly don't pay attention to what weapons pros use, especially on operators like Ashe, but I'm pretty sure it's based off. Actually, I do have something right here, hold on. Anyway, sorry, I'm going to read this aloud. Depending on the playstyle of the map, the R4C offers a higher fire rate / damage, good for aggressive pushes, which is good for Ashe's playstyle. Ashe's normal playstyle is an aggressive entry fragger role, while the G36 provides lower recoil and faster ADS, better for holding angles consistently. Sorry, I'm very bad at reading. Though the R4C is generally favored when mastered due to superior stats, making G36 a strong alternate choice for needing of control. So basically it's saying that the G36 is better for players who need control, and the R4C is a very, I don't want to say more overpowered weapon, but I'd say that it's generally more picked and favored by the community. A full comparison now. G36 is a very accurate weapon, so the recoil is much easier to control, while the R4C has a much higher and much faster fire rate, so it's a little bit harder for the average player to control. The R4C does do 1 more damage than the G36, which doesn't really make it any more favorable, but it is a piece of the puzzle, I guess. The G36 has a 100 less fire rate. They both have a low destruction. The R4C has less bullets in the magazine and less bullet capacity, which is the total bullets, and the reload speed is 0.1 slower for the R4C, so 0.1 more time to reload. They both have a high, G36 has a mediocre control difficulty, and the R4C has a high difficulty to control. This doesn't really mean much. Nobody really looks at this, and you're right to not look at it. It doesn't really mean that much, but it is higher, so another stat. Anyway, with all that being said, I'm done with all the comparison. It is a personal preference whether which gun you want to use, And if you think you're less experienced with recoil, I'd recommend the G36 with a compensator, which would be better because it has a very slow fire rate. And also the R4C, if you are better at the game, more experienced with recoil, you think you can play the game with a high recoil weapon and not struggle. Or if you're just having a bad day and you want to use a lower recoil weapon, I'd recommend using the G36 if you want a lower recoil and slower killing weapon if you're more accurate. But the R4C is just better, mostly all around. It's just a better weapon for Ash's role. Anyway, with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. I'll show a couple more clips I got with Ash online because I was offline for most of this, and I just wanted to take a bunch of. I didn't know what to do. Because Ash gets stolen from me like 100% of the time that I actually try to play her. But when I'm not trying to play Ash, nobody plays Ash. So it's just kind of I had to do offline for content purposes and to actually get enough clip time to get an actual video out to you guys this week. I didn't know what to do for you guys this week, so this was kind of a late video, that's why it's so short. I will try to make a longer video and maybe a special video, just not Siege. My friend recommended me doing a Fortnite video, so I might do that. I'm planning on maybe. I already started it, so I don't know, because I was at a hotel a couple weeks ago, so I started it, but also not sure if I want to finish it because I can hardly stand that game sometimes. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys next week. But if you don't watch the Fortnite video that I have planned, I'll see you in 2 weeks. I'm sorry. I still have all the other videos I plan to post this week.